Hello, welcome. Turn down the speakers. Sorry for the echo. Welcome to the Three Orcs weekly live stream where I give you an update of what we've done all week, a project update on all the articles and maps and artwork that I've done for the Temple of Elemental Evil sandbox campaign, which is basically an expanded campaign from the Temple of Elemental Evil T1 through 4 module. Instead of running the module from the pages, basically, this is a massive campaign that includes all the area and more in the world of Greyhawk around Nolb and Hamlet and the Viscounty and the Gnarley Forest, Cron Hills, all the way out to the Wild Coast to Valuna, and also other modules too. If you want to actually play the full arc of all the modules, like all the Slaver modules, the A's, the G's, the Giant series, the D's, the Drow series, Dark Elves, and all the way to the Q1, which is, the Queen of Loth, the goddess of spiders of the Drow. And basically, that's where you end up finishing the campaign when you square off against her. So, as Gary Gygax intended, he wanted the Dungeon Master to expand this campaign and bring it to life. So that way, it's more than just running the module from the pages as a dungeon slog. It's an actual campaign, and I've been doing that for years. Ever since it first came out in the '80s, and before TSR, I was working with them. And now, all these years later, I'm doing it again. And sure enough, I decided to put the major effort into this, starting over 7 years ago. And if you look at my World Anvil website, which is fan content, Wizards of the Coast fan content. It's open to the public for anybody to use at their table. And as long as you have an internet connection, you can bring up the website, and all the articles, NPCs, organizations, the gods, the races, the locations, the shops, the nobles, everything is all online. So you can actually reference it at the table while you're role playing. And I make sure I try to write all the articles in a short, concise way with bullet points, so that way you can reference the material easily. I don't try to recreate the full articles or whatever the subject is. It's only for reference purposes to be used at the table quickly. And I always highly suggest that if you want to read like a full article, like on the Old Faith, for example, you want to go seek out that article and read it yourself, like in the Living Greyhawk journals or old Dragon magazine articles or other supplements that came out. Now, this module, this campaign is canonical as best as I can, based on the world of Greyhawk. The standard, Gary Gygax standard timeline is 576 common year, but in the module of the Temple of Elemental Evil, it says that module starts in 579 common year. So it's been 3 years. And what I'm saying is 3 years ago is when they started building up and starting the second recruitment phase, the second uprising of the Temple of Elemental Evil, headed by Supreme Commander Hadrek, the mouthpiece of Uis. And Uis strongly wants to have this happen to divert all attention from the north to his activities, because this is, 579 common years before the Greyhawk Wars. And so he's gearing up, and he wants to divert all attention south. That's why this is happening. And Commander Hadrek is doing this smart. He's not just building an army and marching it upon the city of Verbobonc. He's actually playing kind of like the Game of Thrones politics meets Temple of Elemental Evil, where he's got a lot of collaboration with a lot of agents out there, a lot of organizations, nobles, lords in the City of Divers and the Wild Coast and Verbobonc, because he's aggressively highly recruiting, and they need a lot of supplies and slaves. And so they got to do this through Nolb. So they want to make sure they don't catch the attention of the forces of good to tip them off of what's really happening. As far as anybody's concerned in the campaign, including the player characters, the Temple of Elemental Evil was put down over 7 + 3, 11 years ago. And basically, there's no reason to suggest that there's any danger from there. The wards and glyphs are still in place. So the temple ruins are sealed. And so they have a side secret tunnel they use to get in and out with their agents and supplies and slaves. And they use Nolb as a hub of transaction. So they're leveraging bandits, brigands, and pirates. So they're raiding up and down the rivers, the merchant roads in the Viscounty and the Gnarley Forest, and trading with the slavers of the Wild Coast. And there's some Scarlet Brotherhood stuff going on too. If you go to the Knoll village, all my villages, there's like 15 of them, are fully keyed, just like the village of Hamlet. And Knoll is no exception. There's over 30 locations with 7 different factions. And you don't expect the players to be there before 5th level, or they'll get owned. They'll do badly. So they won't be able to defend themselves. And basically, as Gary Gygax intended with the module, you're supposed to play the factions against each other. And so you should do that also in town, because the leaders of the Temple of Elemental Evil and their agents are highly active in town, using those factions to get their supplies and recruiting and sneaking them in through the secret tunnel. And so that's very interactive, engaging. And the players can do some sleuthing, pretend or side with a faction, play them off against each other like an old Western movie or the Seven Samurai. And so that's how the premise of the whole campaign. One more thing is, since they're raiding, the Greater Temple, which is one of the factions, Hadrek and Shenshok, Digum, all those guys, they're the upper Greater Temple. And they're the ones that have recruited Lareth the Beautiful, and they put him down stationed him at the Moat House just outside of Hamlet. And as you see in the T1 module, it states that he's raiding away from the Moat House, not to draw attention to their base. And he's bringing in supplies and slaves from those raids. And so also the other lesser temples are doing the same thing, especially the Water Temple with the pirates. Water pirates, you get that. And Pirate Tolub, Captain Tolub, he works with Canon Belsornig of the Water Temple, and he's working with him with the slaves and the raiding and the loot. And then also the Earth Temple is really active in the Viscounty area, and they took over an old monastery. So I plan in the future to create these modules, to create these dungeons, just like the Moat House. So there's other bases to hit for the players, something for the players to do before they get to 5th level. That's important. Also, it's more fun, it's more interesting than just doing the Moat House or going straight to Knoll and straight into the dungeon. And it never works out. I never heard good feedback unless the Dungeon Master is running some sort of board game, and that's how they play that's how they play D&D, and that's how they treat the Temple of Elemental Evil. Kind of like the video game from Atari. But if you want to role play this, it should make more sense and more engaging. Bring it to life with all these different factions and NPCs and organizations. So this week, I'm per request of one of the Dungeon Masters on the Three Orcs Discord channel. The Discord channel is for other Dungeon Masters out there to talk about this campaign, that are running this campaign, and also talk about the material that I'm putting out, and to collaborate and critique the work. And every day, including today, I put articles up of every article I write, so that way people can critique it and make some changes and discuss it. And we also discuss everybody else's campaigns, what their players are up to. And sometimes I have them come on the live stream and they can talk about their campaign. It's hard to get people to volunteer to come on here because they don't like to be on camera that much, I guess, or they don't have a lot to report at this time. And also sometimes I'll have a special guest, like an original author of Living Greyhawk, which I've had several times, talking about, because I use Living Greyhawk's not canonical to the Temple of Elemental Evil or the World of Greyhawk, but it's a possible future events, and they did a really good job of expanding the world. They created those other towns and those other organizations, and no matter what timeline you're running this campaign in, all those locations and NPCs and organizations still exist. So you can still use this material. I have DMs running different timelines right now. A few changes have to be made, like Lady Eleanor, her age. But so this week, I'm working on what's been requested, which is finish the quest series from Living Greyhawk, Noble Ambitions. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the screen here so you can follow along what I'm talking about here. And I just did a video last week, and I forgot to put this up. So I had to put screenshots up instead. If you're watching right now, go ahead and chat in YouTube if you have any questions. I can answer them for you. And that'd be great. Let's see if anybody's watching here. We only got a couple of people watching right now. But if you have any questions, go ahead. This is the front screen, the front cover of the Verbobonc Campaign Guide 576 Common Year for the campaign. And it's got an interactive map of the Viscounty with all the villages, and then the table of contents. So what I've been working on, we can go through. They changed this. They're always updating World Anvil. It's hard to keep up with them sometimes. And I'm running out of server space too. I might have to up my subscription with them. You're only allowed 4 gigabytes. Yeah, 4 gigabytes of space. So under campaigns, then you have noble ambitions. And so under noble ambitions, this is the quest line. It starts at the city of Verbobonc, and chapter 12 or scene 12 is the dungeon. After you get out of this dungeon, the player should be second level, and then you can get them down to Hamlet. So I start my campaign in the city of Verbobonc. Other Dungeon Masters start theirs in like the Wild Coast or Divers, or some of them still start theirs just outside of Hamlet, like the old way. But you can start your campaign anywhere you want. So I already did a whole bunch of videos, up to date. So I just want to focus on what I did this week. So I'm on the second level right now. So that's the first level rooms, 1 through 22, but there's like room 2A, 2B, 2C, 5A, 5B, 5C, 5D. So there's a lot of rooms in the upper level. And then this is level 2. And so this week I did quite a bit here. So let me show you the map. I'm trying to map along, follow along of what I'm mapping, or what I'm keying. So all this is right here is all done. I talked about last video. I have some more detail. I'm always going through this over and over and over again, adding more stuff, bringing it to life. That's the crypt area. So I did all that last week. That's done. That's a little treasure room. I filled in this earlier this week with some more detail. I added some doors. And then this room, it's not quite done, but it's almost done. This is where they the stone tablet ledgers, or you keep records of the dead in the crypts. Suel families, Suel priests, the ancient ones. I wrote an article about the history of this temple, and it all started around 10 common year. So it's over 550 years old. Another assassin statue. And so I did this week. So this is the ceremonial temple. This is where they have the ceremony. This is where they have the funeral. So all the loved ones, the families, the other priests, they'll come and have a ritual for the dead, before they put them into the crypts, before they put them here in the ledger. So that's trying to make this logical and interesting, that makes sense. Not just a random dungeon with random rooms with random monsters. It's got a definite theme, and each room with flavor text and dialogue and descriptions and narration. It's all heavily themed with Suel themed, the pantheon with the gods. There's a lot of traps here too, quite a few traps, or things to interact with for players to figure out. A player will do much better than other players if they had any Suel religion knowledge. The religion check, I guess. So it depends on the character class and race. This is the big intersection. So this is a trap hallway. It's a testing hallway. I don't know if I covered this last week. I don't remember. But I did update the graphics of these rooms. So let's go ahead and take a real quick look at it. Let's see. The Hall of Pillars. We don't need to look at that no more. But I need to keep it open. Level 2. Okay, so this is the main article for level 2. So this is a DM article, what level 2 is all about. Level 1 has article 2. So if you scroll down past the index and all that, on the right-hand side is a table of contents of links. If you haven't seen these videos before, if you put your cursor over any of these links, it'll pop up a pop-up version of the article. Click it again, it'll pull up the full page version with all the graphics and artwork. Or you can right-click and open it up in a new tab, which is, I usually have 20 tabs open when I'm running the game. So I'm looking for that proving run. I think it's the proving run. That's what I called it. I try to come up with thematic names. There we go. I'm going to scroll and zoom in more for you guys. Doop, 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 doop. Okay. Like I said, if you have any questions, let me know, and I can answer them for you. Some people had some questions in the Discord about this stuff too. Like, how come the orcs haven't engaged the undead down here? It's all in the history article, and also each room has remnants information about the orcs, how far they got. They only got as far as room 1 down here. There's also orcs that fell through the pit traps from above. Most of them are dead and have been raised as zombies. There's one pair hiding, but we'll show that in a minute. All right, so if you don't read the articles, there's not much. I can't be telling you guys what I've constantly been telling you guys. I repeat myself if you're not gonna look at the articles at least. So that's a picture of that map. Let's get the map again. See that picture right there? That's that. These rollers with spikes. So it's gate 1, gate 2, gate 3. I should have added another 5 feet here. Gap between the two. So these rollers are in the up position. They're along the ceiling. And in the picture, those rollers are in the down position. Well, the first set of rollers are in the up position, and the second set of rollers and third set of rollers, if you look close enough, are in the down position. It's all fully worked out here. Everything you need to know. Gate A, gate B, gate C, how to work it, your checks, the damage, how it works, how you can bypass them. So I always make sure when I write anything, because I'm a role-playing Dungeon Master, I don't rely on any kind of dice checks. And so the players, if they can think outside the box, if they're smart players, if they're good players, they can actually role-play their way almost out of anything. And even traps. And I keep giving this example every video about, the needle trap in the chest. You see the hole and you see the dart sticking out of it. All you gotta do is plug it up and then open the chest. That dart's not gonna come out. See what I mean about role playing, describing your actions? You don't need a check for that. So I always make sure I put information in the articles about how to DM that, how to adjudicate players for bypassing or dealing with something without resorting to rolls. But I also add a whole section of 5th edition DC rolls too for Dungeon Masters that need the help running the game. Oops, I messed up. Okay, sorry. See clues and readability. There's a secret door too on the south. So if you look up, so on the right hand side beyond that next portal, I'll show you the map again. See the secret door right here? It goes into this side chamber. I covered all this a couple of weeks ago. But anyway, the whole article is how to get through this. And there's other ways too. There's items throughout the dungeon, religious tokens that you can use to bypass or open a lot of things if you possess these items. And a couple of them are in the crypt, in one of the tombs. So if the players were able to get that, that'd help them out a lot in this dungeon. I always make sure there's 2 or 3 ways to deal with anything. Try to cover all the bases. Make it more engaging, more things happening, more things to think about. It's called a stone-bound token. That's from room 11 to 11B. And so you'll find those in various different rooms in the dungeon. A secret door, attention, the patrols. So any noise, like +1 attention is like +1 to your wandering monster roll. If you make a lot of noise, like triggering the traps. And then you'll get like a ruby custodian, which is a ghoul, and 2 ruby zombies. They enter from room 11 to 10. I should put a link there for that room. But in 1 to 4 rounds. I noticed in a lot of D&D modules, the rounds are very unrealistic. There's no way most creatures will react that quickly, especially when they're sleeping. So I like to pad things up a little higher. So this needs to be changed. This should be more like, because it takes time to walk and open doors too. So that should, realistically, that should be 2 die 4 rounds. That's what I should change it to. On the right is, more stats information. So that's what that room is. So we'll close that. And the next room is the ring, 17A. So this room is this practice area for casting spells and messing around with the undead and fighting. It's it's for clerics to use. And in the map is this room right here. And I haven't quite finished it yet. I started putting some weapon racks on the wall, but they're supposed to be all decayed and fallen down. It's more of a gravel pit in there in the front, in the middle, as you can see. So, I always lead off with flavor text to read to the players. There's ruby phantoms here. Kind of cool. Floor hazard, the caverns, the North Hall, the clues, treasure and salvage that you can find here, like a silver-capped practice staff. It counts as a silver quarterstaff. That's what it counts as. That's a cool item to pick up. I should create a picture of that with Suel design on it. That'd be kind of cool. Put the picture right here on the right. Yeah, I haven't done that yet. I just thought of it. There are stat blocks for Ruby Ghoul, Ruby Custodian, and Ruby Zombie and other leaders in the first articles. Let's see. So that's that room. Okay, so the next one is Court to Witness 18. Let's look at the map again. I want to make sure I haven't numbered them yet. So this one. So that's a pit trap from above. So area location number 7. Or is it 6? From upstairs. It's part of the defense of the complex. That pit trap is. Because if you go north up that tunnel to where those murder holes are and the arrow slits are, into the oil rooms on the north side of the complex, there's a pit trap protecting it, because that whole section of the temple is for defense in case intruders try to storm the temple. And so one of the protection against people coming after the defenders back in that area is that pit trap, and it lands them right here. So it lands them in this circular room, and in the room is another pit, is another pit with spikes. So let's take a look at that. I don't remember what it's called. There it is. Remand Well of Beltar, and that's the picture of it. So there's an altar to Ouija's there, and that's what's hiding the hidden secret door. Okay, so let's just imagine your players they're supposed to. Okay, there's 2 times you can come to the whole complex. The first time, your first level, and your mission is to recover the jewels, the shining sword and the shining gem of House Osbury. That's the mission. And you have clues. You have a riddle to follow, to decipher, figure out, and follow. And that riddle tells you exactly where to walk to find the treasures in the upper level, bypassing most of the dungeon. So you don't have to engage the entire orc tribe or come across these pit traps. If the players are dumb enough to, at first level, to wander off that path or can't figure out the path, they're taking their own lives in their hand. They're risking it. To tell you the truth, my last group, they decided to clear the whole level out, and they explored the whole top level, and they got away with it. I really thought they were going to die, but they got lucky. They had a really good, strong group. We were running castles and crusades. So as you can see, there's a pit with chains and there's remnants of blood. So in the description here, the flavor text, I actually talk about that. The Howling Moon Clan, the orcs are called the Howling Moon Clan. It's a living Greyhawk thing. And they have their torn banners, fresh blood, scrapes of flesh, streaking the inner walls, the lip. So obviously, corpses were dragged out of that pit, up the side and out down the hallway. And what happened was they landed there from the pit trap above, and the Ruby zombies, the custodian, scooped them up and dragged their corpses to the mortuary to be raised as zombies. So there's a porticus to getting out of here and a secret door. So here's the rules about the porticus. Yay. What the mural looks like. The secret door, rules about the secret door, and evidence of use here. The orc signs and the blood trail. I also wrote flavor text if you fall from the pit, what you see, what you experience. And then occupants. So these people will show up later, possibly. Roll a 1d4. Tactics and treasure and map notes. On the right-hand side is more facts about the layout and dungeon master notes. Specifics about if you need help as a dungeon master figuring out how to climb out of the pit, spot the secret door, and opening mechanics. So I kind of spell it out for you. As you can see, these are 5th edition, 3rd edition DC checks for dungeon masters that don't roleplay much. So anyway, that's what that is. Next is let's see, what another room. Okay, the secret door. So, all right. So one dungeon master was, he's Pathfinder, and traditional Dungeons and Dragons like the B2 module, the B1, the original modules. There's always more than one way in and out. There's options. One option is always to run away. Be prepared. Be a good player. Be an experienced player. This is a long list of what traditional Dungeons and Dragons is, and I wrote a video about it, an article about that too. So let's say you fell to the pit, and it's not game over. So there's lots of possibilities here. So this is one possibility: find that secret door and get out without making noise. So now you're stuck in the cavern complex. There's other ways out of here too. All right, so the next room is this room right here, this little area. And so that area is called You're Screwed area, the understore collapse. So this used to be part of the temple. The stone gives way to gloom and breath of cold water. I always liked, Old School Essentials does this. That's why they're one of the best designers of dungeons there is out there. And what they do is they what do you call it when you telegraph? Yeah, telegraph. You always telegraph things. That's what makes traditional Dungeons and Dragons playable. Newer D&D players that don't have a lot of experience with D&D, they think you have to roll for everything, and that solves everything. So there's tells. You have to have a tell. So to mitigate the unfairness of what they call unfair in traditional Dungeons and Dragons is not just astute play and experience and smart and being a good player, is being prepared, and the tells will help signal what to expect. They'll give you the chance to react to it. And so like the water, so it's always smell, temperature, what you feel, what you see, evidence, telltales, things like that. Knowledge, what you sense, like a cleric or a paladin might sense a disturbance in the force. A druid, a ranger, in all situations. I always consider all that, what they could notice, to give them some kind of tell. Because I do that a lot. I telegraph things to give them a little bit of a warning. And if they don't take the warning intelligently, then that's their problem. You're not supposed to balance any kind of dungeon. It's not made for that. Most of the dungeons are supposed to be balanced for the level. Like this dungeon is level 1 to 3, but just like the B2 module, if you wander into the wrong cave, well, you can say goodbye. And there's no way a minotaur is, for a dungeon level 1 to 3, but there's a minotaur in the B2 module. But there's a way to avoid all that and telegraph that. The players will know what to expect before they meet that minotaur, unless you're blindly running down that tunnel without a care in the world, not able to determine if they're going to get any telegraphs or not. Because they're just rushing blindly down this tunnel. I'm not giving them a chance to see what tracks are on the ground, what they smell, what they feel, what they hear in the distance, things like that. Like a snort of a bull, right? Coming down that tunnel. That's a telegraph. That gives them the opportunity, the chance to mitigate that danger. It'll wipe them out. It'll slaughter them. But I gave them a chance. Same thing with traps. Unless the players are not being careful. Just walk right into the middle of the room and say, I'll loot anything that looks shiny. What are you going to do? So anyway, in my narration, my flavor text, I always add that stuff, a little bit of it, to help the players, to make it fair. It's no fun to walk into a crypt with a vampire without any kind of forewarning. Give the players a chance to reconsider. Oh, there they are. See those two orcs on the right? Okay, so those are the two surviving orcs down below that fell through the pit. They fell through another pit. At the end of the red-tiled corridor is a pit, a Ouijas, the altar there on the wall. And they survived it, and they fell down into this labyrinth. They've been trying to get out ever since. And so it's possible to communicate with them and deal with them. And sure enough, look what I wrote. So flavor text, who they are, the hooks, troglodytes are hunting them. The signs of troglodytes, ranger skill, musk, spore, ambush wisdom. Things, and I even put 5e stuff here, the DC checks. Stream and movement. So the movement of the stream is 20 feet per round. And if you don't succeed in a strength check, you're swept 20 feet down river. Athletics check, falling from the slab, that slab right there. Collapsed. So there's carved steps, describes all that. This descriptions of basically the layout, what the bullseye lantern could see and stuff like that. Encounters. So orc stragglers, you can parlay with them, you can corner them. The troglodyte pressure, optionally, if you linger more than 3 rounds. 1 to 4 troglodytes to shadow them. Attack if they are in the water or isolated. Integration of response, the noise. If the players make a lot of noise. Okay, so then at the last minute, I said, you know what? The players might talk to the orcs. So I wrote a whole bunch of dialogue for the orcs. So basically, I did flavor text when you first encounter the orcs. If it looks like they're going to be challenged and be able to give them the chance to say something. And then I got a whole bunch of dialogue of what they would say. And it's pretty insulting orc stuff, which is cool. And they have information. So if the players lower their weapons and offer food, if you question them about the mortuary and pit, they call those, they call them red doctors. That's what they call them. If you threaten or advance with your weapons out, speak a few words in Orcish, maybe. If you mention the troglodytes directly, if you promise them safe passage west. So there's responses to all that to help you roleplay. Map notes, DM section, treasure and forage. So there's an oil of slipperiness here. Slippy. 6 edible fungi rations, 6 cave fish too. So that's what this entire section is right here on the map. This section right here. So that if they get to that secret door, they'll find the 2 orcs hiding in the corner here. Or if they come this way. The orcs can't get past this tunnel, right? This trap room. They just can't get past this porticus and these spinning blades. They can't do it. Neither can the troglodytes. And that's what they're trying to do, by the way. All right, so you finally descend 20 feet and lower level again. So this is like the 3rd level, I suppose. That's where this subterranean stream runs through the whole cavern complex, and that's that stone slab. And going north is all a submerged tunnel of water that spills out into this cavern. And then, players can hide in little nooks and crannies, and rest up and get their short rest. I won't say anything about that. All right, so and then you finally get to the intersection. Okay, at this intersection is another keyed area. Let's see. Level 2. The stink lizards. Have you guys ever had a stink lizard? There you go. The stink lizard ways. As you pass through the tunnel, it's creepy, crawly, yucky, drip, drip, scary. I don't kill my character. Layout and terrain, signs and clues. So tracks, caches, musk gradient, the sense of the musk. Tactical notes, wandering monster table. So this intersection, good chance of wandering monsters. So no encounter, troglodyte scout, troglodytes with a cave lizard. I like that one. Quipper swarm, carrion crawler, 6 of them. Can you imagine a whole tunnel filled with 6 carrion crawlers? 6 times 6, there's 36 tentacles. That's all you see coming at you. And it's all dark down there. There's no light source. So whatever the light source the players have with them is what they're going to have. I should make a picture of that. Piercers, troglodyte hunting pack, and a lost orc with only 1 hit point left. Or it could be 8 of them. It's up to you. Stink lizards. That's what the orcs call them. They call them stink lizards. Stink lizard. And the reaction check right here. 2d6. This reaction check is from old school D&D. Okay. On the side, the mood and flow, GM advice, travel hook, and foraging, and small little finds like fist guts and scent stones and things like that. So that's kind of cool. So that's the intersection. And then this week I also worked on the drip pool grot. Drip pool grot. And that's what this map looks like right here. That pool. And it's water dripping. Stone closes around like a damp throat. From the roof hangs stalactites beaded with chilled tears, each drop falling into a black round pool that occupies the center, 15 feet across. Its rim slick with slime. The sound is a steady drip, drip, and your lantern shows pale heaps of snail shells and fine fish spines stacked near the wall. A rancid saron musk lingers as if scaled things have bathed here and have gone. So this basically the signs of the troglodyte use. They come here to eat and bathe and do all sorts of stuff here, as you can see from the evidence. I made these headers too big. So this is what you could find here. 1d4, searching and checking. There's treasures in the water. A bronze medallion, a red glass lantern, orc forager pouch, sealed clay ampoule, which is an antitoxin, skeletal hand with a silver ring, optionally maybe a potion of water breathing. So stuff like that, DM notes. So that's what the pool's for. That's what I've done so far with it. If you guys have any good ideas, let me know. You can come on the Discord channel and talk about it too. I'm still developing this level. Oh, so there's another reason why the second level is here is because there's another Living Greyhawk module where you do come back at higher level, like third to 5th level, to rescue a fey unicorn called Swath. So that's why. The next room is the crawl. Okay, so that's him. That's a shaman troglodyte. And basically he's on the map of up here. So this tunnel right here going off the map, it goes into the Underdark. And that's where they came from. It could come from anywhere. Maybe somewhere else in the forest, near the river. It's up to you. Troglodytes could come from the Venzator. But anyway, that's him and his other fellow trogs. We are trogs. So he's pretty tough. That's his stat block right there. He's a CR3, 33 hit points. He's got a bone staff. And he's got cleric spells. What level is that? He can cast 3rd level spells. I'm supposed to put levels in here for people that don't play 5th edition. I didn't do that. All right, so the raid force. They have a raider force. So 6 trogs and 1 shaman. Their raider tactics. Their camp. The treasures and gear they have here. Their hooks. On the right is encounter table. So on the left, so the pit is right above this room. So the pit I was talking about before is this room right here. So the pit drops into this room from the end of the long red tiled corridor. So the tunnel widens. So basically it's another flavor text of what's like for them, the player, to get there from the pit. Basically, the troglodytes captured orcs here with their net. And they'll capture adventurers with their net as the players fall. And so they'll be prisoners of the troglodytes. And there's a whole section on that here. I got rules about the net right here with 5e mechanics, DC 16, athletics check, acrobatics check, stuff like that, stuff you'd want to know. And then I decided to write dialogue for the shaman. So if the players are captured or they meet this group as they're going through the caverns, right? Like that intersection, and then the troglodytes come upon them with the shaman can engage them. And so I always write, I try to write the dialogue as best I can thematically with the character. And sure enough, he uses a lot of S's and Z's and slurs, almost kind of like how I speak. Soft skins, you trespass in Lugzag's belly. And he lifts his staff, oozing toad lizard carved in green. So there's a whole introduction here of him confronting the players. You know, it's an introduction to get you to role play, like a bridge to start you off. So that's what that's about. So it's kind of cool. And, you know, I haven't finished the map yet in that section. I got to put more, you know, I haven't even tested this yet. I got to fill all this area in with more rock and bedding and other objects the troglodytes might have, fish guts and things like that. Same thing with here. I haven't filled it in any detail yet. All right, so you get past all that, then I decided to create this room, like almost like another intersection, really. Humming River Bend. All right, so this one is basically the stream runs through, you know, all about it, and the river mechanics again, crossing, signs of the trogs, and the humming. So this geological resonance of air drawn through a deep vent, and a counter table too, another wandering table and connections where all tunnels go to, map notes. So that's the intersection for that. Then the last one I did today was Ringwall Grot. And this one basically is this map right here, this area. So you cross the stream, and before you go south, if you go into this entrance, sometimes I have to change the map to reflect what the image looks like. Like that looks like I'm going to have to do that here. So what's this room? Basically, dark mantles layer. It's a dark mantle layer. They're just dark mantle are described as stalactites hanging from the ceiling, and there's a cluster of them, cluster of 6. It could be a cluster of 8 with a violet fungi. That'd be fun. You can roll random or just choose. So ambush notes, troglodyte relationship, hooks and hazards, the treasures here. So I decided at the last minute today to create a map. So this is a possible treasure find. So you remember what I said about giving players chances? Well, this is one of those things. Even the B2 module, I've done that. Like the goblins have a map. The hobgoblins have a map. The bandits have a map. I made maps for everything because it seems logical that a leader of any of these tribes might have a map of their area. And so the players, so they can loot it and get that map, you should print it up and hand it to the players. It's pretty cool. So it gives the players leverage and opportunity to survive the session with knowledge. Knowledge is key. Knowledge is everything, especially when just around the corner it could be something that could totally wipe the party out. So this map will help a lot. This map pretty much tells you how to get to the forest going south. And it's not completely accurate. The map isn't, but it's helpful. At least it tells you to go south. That tunnel will take you out of the dungeon. So if you happen to fall in one of those 2 pit traps, that map will help you point the way how to get out, which is really useful, especially if you're alone down there and lost. 1 or 2 of your players are down there. Let's get back to the map. All right, so tomorrow, when I start working on this again, at night I do mapping. The daytime I do. So another location I need to create next. I need to write this up. Interesting large cavern with an island in the middle. I'm not sure what to put on the island yet. It could be some crypt, sarcophagi maybe, with some whites in it. Maybe. I was thinking about putting blind fish or razor fish inside this little pond area, so they'll attack the players if they swim. And then this down here. So this room right here is where the last trapdoor takes you from above, drops you down in here. This trapdoor is right outside the temple from the first level, location 20. Just outside the temple door, there's a trap there, pit trap. And it'll drop you down into this room. So I'm not really sure what to put here yet, but I was thinking maybe Beltar's temple. Yeah. So Beltar is one of the Suel gods of mountains and stuff, mining. And so maybe they decided to put a shrine dedicated to him in this great Suel Temple down in the farthest reaches below ground. And yeah, see, I'm thinking, hey, somebody joined me. Hootie. Hey, Hootie, let's see what you have to say. Hootie, thanks again for your work, David. I used your Ancient settlement for my group on Saturday. Returning from the Suel Temple with Sword and Star of Osbury treasure. The Ancient Thorpe worked well. Ah, you did it. So you went through this top level of this dungeon. I want to hear about it. I wish you could join my live stream and tell us what happened. Did they follow the clues? Did they find the temple right away? Did they do any side excursions in the dungeon, trying to stomp out the orc tribe, or explore the ruins of the temple to find treasure, or did they go straight to do their quest and get out? And what level were they? Well, that's the stuff I like to hear about. But I was thinking out loud here that something happened with the Beltar. So maybe during the demise of this temple, the temple fell in 355 Common Year. If you read the history article, so something happened to create this cavern cave-in. As you can see, the cave-in broke into these existing rooms. See that? Destroyed it. And so it broke in. Something happened. Something collapses. Something collapsed the entire area and broke into it. And now this has been collapsed. So maybe some kind of earth tremor, something caused by the altar here. Some kind of desecration. So I got to think about that and think of something really interesting here. Something that the players might be able to set right. But the pit trap does drop you down here into this corridor. So anyway, the way to get out of this dungeon is along this ridge here, along the lake, along the river to the south. I haven't connected this yet. I'm going to connect this to this side of the dungeon. So when you're exploring this area, you can actually find this tunnel to get out too. Another way to get out is upstream. This probably goes either outside or more deeper into the Underdark. It's up to you. Anyway, that's what I've been working on all week. I need to redo the modules to get DM's Guild off of them to make them fan content versions. So I can put them up on the Patreon for our Patreon members for free. That way you guys can get the modules. And I'm going to write another module, a printable mod. The reason I make these modules is because they're printable. World Anvil is not printable. Even if you export it, it's not printable. Try it. You're going to hate it. It strips away all formatting. So I create a really nice module, professionally packaged module that you can print up into a book and like at Lulu or something. And you can actually have a physical module in your hands. That's why I create those, because I have Dungeon Masters that require that. That's why I made them. It's a lot of work. So I don't know, it's a lot of work for not getting paid for it. So I don't know. It's like hundreds of hours of work to make those modules. And you can't sell them anywhere else but on DM's Guild. And they won't let you sell anything on DM's Guild if you offer the same material for free somewhere else. You can't have anything you put on DM's Guild can't be offered in any other platform out there. It can only be exclusive to DM's Guild. And I refuse to take it down off World Anvil because too many Dungeon Masters are using this material for their dungeon, for their campaign. So it's a no-brainer. DM's Guild has just lost me as a customer. If they're not going to, if they don't want I have the best modules on that platform. Nobody even comes close to the quality of my modules, especially Null. Second to none. Everything else is amateur hour on DM's Guild. And mine are like professionally published by Wizards of the Coast or better. It's just too bad. And I'm hoping some changes happen with Wizards of the Coast someday, and maybe I can release them, more commercially at that time. All right. So, Hoodie, looks like you got a lot to say. Thanks again for your work. So you said top level only. Okay. My level 3 PCs, that's cheating. Use the thief to sneak in, using the clues. Okay, good. Get the treasure. Okay. Then fought a fighting retreat to the escape. Okay, that's good. The chief and the cleric were away on a raid. So you didn't have the chief or the shaman there. See, the shaman's supposed to be in that temple. doing a ritual, desecrating the altar, the Suel altar to Peramos for grooms. And so he's in there with the zombies. But it's okay for the chief to be away. Yeah, that's not a problem. But really, that shaman should have been in there because the priestess of Istis, another prophecy offered in the city of Greyhawk, was to take the head of the shaman and put it on the altar to break the ritual, decapitate him. Okay, so the next one is, my team fought against the chief cleric of Beltar bodyguards in the swamp on the way to Anshan. We all thought it would be a TPK, but the PCs played very well and got some lucky rolls, so they all survived. Yeah, the same thing happened to my group, but in the dungeon. I really thought they were going to die. There's no way. The chief is like a 5th level fighter, and they're all 1st level. They pulled it off. I can't believe it. It's shocking. And that was the old version. The new version with the Howling Clan Moon, that chief is like a werewolf. He's infected with lycanthropy. So that's even more dangerous. And you saw the picture of him I put up on screen a couple of weeks ago. You can all follow along, going to this website and see all this. Let's see, where's my... So this is the cover plot. This page, the Ancient Suel Temple plot. This is scene 12. Scene 12 is the dungeon. So scene 1 through 11 get you here. Scene 12, and in this master article is the 2 levels. As you can see right here, related locations on the right. That's the 2 levels. And also I put it down here under the dungeon at a glance, what all is in level 1 and what's all in level 2 to help you guys figure this out. And I put a DM facing mission flow, what to expect. And then each of their own, as you know, each of the levels have their own article for the whole level. And then in each of these articles for that level is all the rooms. Also, the actual, let's see where did it go. So as you know, this dungeon's right here, in case you're just following for the first time. See, that's where it's located at. That's the Gnarley Forest, Venzator, Anshan is what he's talking about. Hoodie, talking about his players went through there from Penwick, and there's Osbury Manor. That's where you get the quest. But the players meet the Baroness here at the city of Verbobonc. And then you level up from here. If you succeed, then go down to Hamlet and deal with the bandits down there. Where is this? I can't find nothing. Yeah, this is what he's talking about. So that, see, 1 pit trap's here. And that's the temple we're talking about. There's a pit trap here. Pit trap here. And I guess the shaman's supposed to be in here with the 4 zombies. And the dwarf. Did you guys rescue the dwarf? The dwarf is chained to the wall on the right here. Let's see. Hoodie said most of the PCs in this party are D&D newbies. 1 PC was played D&D for 30 years. So he's probably the worst player. No, just kidding. So I made it a bit easier for them. Okay. Yeah, it gets you fudge the rolls. I always roll my dice in front of the players. I make it a game. Come on, 20. All the players' faces turn white when I roll a 20 right in front of them. Or they make fun of me when I keep rolling 1s. Yeah. So I make it more interactive. I make it so I'm having fun too. I'm not really trying to kill them, but it might seem like it. The way I cheer on the dice. Anyway, this is the dungeon at the top level. So they started off at the beginning and went down this long hallway, following the clues, past all the orcs. Take the right here, go all the way down this tunnel. That's the chief's room, L19. Then all the way here, past all these pit traps into the Suel Temple. And number 21 is the treasure room. That's where all the treasure. That's the goal of the quest, 21. And then get back out. There's 2 ways to get back out. One is the entrance you first came in on. And the second way is right here in this audience chamber behind these 2 porticus. There's a secret door in the back wall here. And you can exit. That comes out north of this complex in the Gnarley Forest. Pretty cool. Okay, what else do you guys say? Yeah, you made it easier. Okay. Let's see who's watching here. Well, I got some people watching, not too many. All right. Well, I just wanted to give you an update. So, as you know, the next couple of days, I want to finish the lower level, and then I got to write one more scene, getting out of the dungeon and returning to Osbury Manor, and getting rewarded. And you get accosted on the way by Lord Melinius and his men. They try to take the treasures from the party because he brands them all as thieves and brigands, and he wants to hang them all from the trees and take all their treasure. But luckily, Lady Eleanor surprises them all and rides over the hill with her knights and her men. Lord Melinius, what are you doing on my lands? So she takes over and she saves the party. So they go back to Osbury Manor and get a celebration, a banquet in their honor. Big celebration, big speech, lots of experience points, end of the quest. And then they can spend the night there or two. And then they leave in the morning and head south to follow up another quest like the Gift of Beauty, or go to Hamlet to find out what's going on with the bandits down there, or whatever clues the Dungeon Master provided them. Like the other fire temple, the earth, air, water temple raiding groups out there, like the scene, the ritual coming up in the fire temple just north of Hamlet. There's a date set, and on that date they're going to do this ritual, and they invited all the druids in the area to come participate in this great ritual to bring balance back to the forest. No, to bring balance back to nature. They're going to bring balance back, all right. It's not the way you think. It's the fire temple. All the druids don't know that. They think they're a new druid sect. That's what they all think. And so if there's any druid or ranger characters in the party, their master will probably send them to investigate this. Report to me. Find out what happened. What's this ritual all about? So the players might end up going there. Or they could go to the Earth Temple, Dungeon Monastery. Track that down because of the Gift of Beauty thing. All right. So the 30-year-old player was a thief. So basically all the other players just sat back and watched while he went into the dungeon. He's largely responsible for the party's success, encouraging stealth and not attacking everything in sight, assuming balanced encounters. Yeah, that's 5e players for you. So, I try to set an example, even as a DM. So when I role play the NPCs and the monsters, setting an example, and I try to encourage players to do things, not just be a hard nose about it. Try to make them better players. If I was that player, that 30-year-old plus player with those newbies, I'd be encouraging them to do things, not do everything himself. But yeah, well, the third level. Was there a wizard in your group? Did he have certain spells? That'd be very useful too. Very useful. But I'm glad they had fun. This is I bet they're a nail-biting adventure going through this dungeon. Where were your players while the thief was sneaking through this place? Hiding outside? Looking at the entrance? Yeah, you're old school player. Let me see. I'll show you guys. How come that's not working? Oh, that's why. You got to click on it first. That's the entrance with the porticus, the front hallway, the red tiled hall. And dang it. Oh, I know why. Oh, there's no link here. Oh, there it is. That's the link. I found the link. This is the main article. Seriously? I didn't put the picture here. A lot of wandering monster tables in the main article. Wandering monster encounter tables. Dang, where's my picture? Well, I'll show you what the picture's supposed to look like. Oh, God, seriously. See, anyway, you see this top banner on all the articles? That's what that looks like at the front of the dungeon. There's an orc out there hanging. He was killed by the other orcs for dereliction of duty or drinking too much grog. I had a couple of orcs actually come out of the entrance and urinate on him. And the players witnessed this and heard the orcs talking. And one of the players could speak orc, so they could hear the orcs talking about the chief. So I sprinkle a lot of dialogue in there. They're getting clues that way by hearing what the orcs are saying. They just didn't attack the orcs. They waited first to hear everything the orcs were complaining about, and then they killed them and snuck in. And whatever noise they made, the guards inside would assume that was those orcs returning. And that's what they actually spoke in orc too as they were coming in. And they ambushed that first room. So that worked out really well. But anyway, this is a bigger picture. There's a whole full picture of this. I can't believe I didn't put it on that main article. What the heck? I'll have to do that at the picture. So yeah, the players followed him in, and the wizards, yes, St. Cuthbert Cleric. Nice. The new players now wish the cleric had learned the silent spell. Yes, that's a great spell. They are gradually learning old school dungeons craft. Much more fun with the PCs knowing that there is a real risk of death in a sandbox. Yeah. Even if you're using cantrips, even cantrips are very powerful if you use them wisely. There's a lot of ways to get out of encounters to save the player's lives with just one cantrip. You just have to be very creative. There's a lot of, like that one spell with the 4 lights that hover, you control the lights. Oh, that's very useful. Extremely useful. It saves the party so many times. It's really good against Sturges. So yeah, silence is amazing. Yeah. So is the darkness spell too. There's a lot of spells that are absolutely better than a fireball spell. I made a bet. I said I can make a wizard, first level wizard, with a cantrip, make him seem more powerful. It seemed like he's a 10th level arch, like a 10th level mage, master wizard. I can make him seem that way. It's the way he talks, the way he looks, the way he dresses, the way he says, and how he's casting the spell. It's all a matter of description. When you're role playing, you're describing your action. So the enemy or the other players only see what you described them. So I can, like, simple first level cleric spell, it's like doom, like the end of the earth is happening, the way I describe it. It scares the heck out of the players. The hell out of them. Oh my God. Oh yeah, Dancing Lights. Dancing Lights is an extremely powerful spell. If you do it in the 4 pattern, the 4 version that float around, it has high movement speed and focus of concentration. All you got to do is focus, like make those 4 globes just hover right in front of their face and say some stuff. Role play. Scare the bejesus out of almost anything. You at least gain a melee round from it. Minimum. Most of the time they'll lose their morale and they'll run for it. Like mighty wizards coming down and cast doom on them. I swear. So, there's different ways to play D&D, and a lot of people play like it's a board game. The players don't know, and the monsters don't know, and NPCs don't know. I'm casting magic missile. No, you're not saying that in character in the dungeon in front of a player. All they see is hear what you're casting and what it looks like, and so you can put on an act. And it's also the way you dress, your class, and your race, and what you say. Yeah, Dancing Lights could be very powerful. You just got to be very creative. And a dungeon master is a good dungeon master, that's have a lot of experience with this sort of thing to really pull it off. So, yep. I'm glad you had fun though. The dungeon's fun. So they used I guess they used you used the VTT battle map I have here that I just showed you. Yeah, it's too bad the players didn't go in. It's more fun when the whole party's in there trying to survive and be quiet and taking a risk, looking behind a few doors, looking for treasure, taking out wandering guards quietly. It's kind of like an action movie, right? And watching one of your fellow friends fall through the pit trap. That's fun too. Oh, well. All right, man. Yeah, it's late. I'm done talking. It's been over an hour. All right. Thank you, Hoodie, for joining the live stream. Okay, everybody that's just joining, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. So basically, this is my live stream, a weekly live stream at 7 p.m. Sunday every weekend, and I want to go ahead and I review all the work I've done for the project. So that way, I put so much work into this daily that's hard for everybody to keep up with it, because people have a job, work for a living, and they can't follow all the work I do. So I do 3 to 4 articles a day plus the mapping. And so I figured I'd do a live stream update on everybody so you can keep you guys all up to date what I've been working on and what I plan to do in the future. And also answer some questions that you guys might have. Also, if you want to support this project, I strongly encourage you to join the Patreon. You don't need to join the Patreon as a tier member to access most of this stuff. But if you want to join it as a member, you can support this project that encouraged me to keep working on it. Like the hours of work I put into it that encouraged me to actually do those hours. And it helps a lot. I'm very thankful for the Patreons that actually do sign up. But you don't have to sign up if you want access to some of these maps and the menus for the taverns and things like that. If you want a higher resolution version of them, though, and also my blog articles, you do have to be a member to join as a member to get access to that stuff. Some people want to print up the map at a 40 megabyte map at high resolution, 30 DPI, and that's the version of that map you can get by being a member. Also, I got my YouTube channel here, so I just come on every Sunday and you guys can join me, and I put out videos once a week to cover certain topics. Well, I hope your players have as much fun as Hoodie's group did running this campaign. There's so many different ways to play this campaign, different directions to start from, and a lot of ways to engage in it because it's so massive. This is an epic sandbox campaign for the original World of Greyhawk Adventure Series module for the original by Gary Gygax and written up by Frank Mencher. I hope your players had as much fun as mine have, and you guys have a good week. Good night.